introducing Samantha. Hi, Samantha. So, what do you do in TGC and what's your role?
I am an economy designer. I work on Sky. I do a lot of stuff kind of behind the scenes, which one of the ways I like to describe it is I make sure the trains run on time. So I do a lot of the scheduling, anything from daily quests to making sure that everything happens on time down to the minute for events, help with seasons. I also help with a lot of the a lot of the things that make players feel very strongly, which is setting the prices for things. So does this thing cost candles or hearts? Or I don't do any of this by myself. It's a team effort, but selecting which items are going to be IAPs or what's going to be in-game currency. I also write the descriptions for the items. I also usually help out with the events team quite a bit. My favorite project to work on is Days of Color. You can see a rainbow in my background. Help
Uh-huh.
determining how players spend their time or where things are obtained. So it's not as glamorous, but it's very important, and it's something I care about a lot to make sure that our players have a good experience.
Just side question. In our patch note, we say Days of Fortune envelope will be manually activated by the devs, so it might not be like actually on the point where the event starts. Um, are you the
Mhm.
person who manually activates that feature?
I am one of 2 to 3 people. So the way that that is set up is we don't have the means to make it be scheduled automatically. Some of it just has to do with like how certain game systems work. And so it's something that we have to enable and then uh, populate to the server. So uh, I make a change, I submit that into code, and then I hand that off to an engineer who takes that change and then rolls it out to the server so that it takes effect for players. And because of that manual process, there's different steps and they take a certain amount of time and things. Since we're a global game, it takes a while for that information to physically travel, across the globe, even though it's digitally, to take effect, which usually takes a few minutes. Sometimes it can be super, super fast, less than 5 minutes. Sometimes it can be a little slower. It can be 10 or 15. But yeah.
Okay. The next question is, how has the game economy changed with the introduction of event ticket? We used to call it event currency, but now it's event ticket.
it's it's an evolving process, and I'm sure others have noticed that as well. Just simply, what has been experienced since we introduced event tickets, and even 6 months later, what that looked like, or even a year later, since we just started coming full circle last summer with it. And all the data seems to tell us that it's accomplishing the goal that it was, which was to make events more approachable to somebody who just started the game that day. And so, with like these items costing candles that people are playing every single day, and they're kind of collecting them and then waiting for the things that they want to spend them on, a brand new player doesn't have that benefit of like saving up. And so we want to make sure that they feel uh, in, included and able to participate, even if they just started. And a lot of times players will talk about like, oh, I'm this season moth or this event moth. That those early, those first impressions, those early memories, I think really get cemented in players' minds, and kind of shapes how they feel about something. And so if something's available to you and approachable, like you're on the same level as somebody who's been playing, since limited release back in 2018, before the game even officially launched globally, it allows older and newer players to share the same space and have common experiences. I think the last thing I would probably just say is like, it's one of the nice things about like a live game is that things are never set in stone forever. They're always kind of evolving. We recently rolled out like event ticket light, and that's new, and that gives us a little more flexibility into making different experiences for how to obtain event ticket currency, so that it doesn't feel like you're logging in and doing the same thing every single time for every single event, because that gets boring. So we're always open to feedback and want to incorporate that, but one of the always interesting challenges with feedback is we might have two players whose feedback is like diametrically opposed, and so we have to kind of look at a bit of a bigger picture of, well, if we incorporate what this person asked for, it means that we have to not for this other one. So we try to find good compromises that makes, we can't please everyone, but we want to make it feel good for as many people as possible, given wide varieties of situations.
Okay, the next question is, when designing a new season or item, how do we set the prices for the new items? Like,
there's lots of things to account for. It could be anything from, does an item use new tech that we created just for this thing? That took more time and took more effort, or is it like a big item like a cape or a body outfit, or is it something small like a necklace or boots, or like props or instruments tend to be a lot more complicated, and like how fancy they are. We spend lots of time discussing like how we should price things or what kinds of items we should make, because we look at things of like, oh, what's going on with a season? Is a season have lots of similar items, so we want to have something that maybe the outfit is complementary to items to it, but isn't like a replica of it. Or like, let's say we have an event that has lots of capes. We may go, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't focus on a cape for this event. Maybe we should focus on like some accessories or focus on a body item. We also try to look at like, what are the price points for things, especially with IAPs. Try to make sure that like, oh, do we have items that are small and more affordable, and easy to be gifted to friends? We also price things based on like how long an event goes, and like how many different items are available. When we try to make sure that we have like bare minimums, and then if we've got extras, then we have extras, and then if we don't, then, or if something doesn't work out, then we need to go back and figure out a new idea with the art team, or make adjustments based on feedback. Everything is very, very thoroughly discussed, and we try all kinds of things and see, does this look right? Does this feel right? Does this feel like it makes sense? Does this feel like a good value, worth the effort or worth the cost, and that sort of thing.
Okay, this is the key point of this interview, because we have Days of Fortune going on. When expanding the annual events such as Days of Fortune, how do we decide the variation of new items? We have the old items returning, and we have new items newly created. How do we like balance them, or does the old item affect the composition of new item?
Yeah, like what we did last year definitely will influence and kind of inform the items that we make for the current year. We want to deliver on cool things, but have a variety, so that you can mix and match the cosmetics from one year to the next. Like the masks for every year are aesthetically consistent, so that you can kind of look at them over time and see that like, yes, these are all part of kind of the same set. We know that that's kind of like, what are the things that we're always going to make? So, well, we've got the mask thing figured out. So what do we want to make to complement the mask? Should we do a hair? Should we do a hat? Do hats make sense with those kinds of masks? And sometimes like things can clip. So maybe we wouldn't do a hat. Would a hair accessory make sense? Would shoes make sense? Or does a cape make sense? Or does a prop make sense? Since season of nesting, we've tried to incorporate more furniture and like nest decoration items into things. And so we have a few fortune items this year that, you can see some of the decorations that are in Valley of Triumph, and you get to take little versions of them with you and put them in your nest, and then you can remember, all the fun that you had with it. So it's always a bit of trying to be mindful of what exists.
It seems there's a lot of factors here too to consider when designing a new items for a new season or event. Like not only the old items for that specific event, but the event before, event after, and the ongoing season, and also the new features released between the last year's event and this year's event. Really appreciate that. Next question is the last question. Yay! End of the interview. Would you like to leave any message to the Korean community?
Thank you to everyone that has, whether you started playing today or you started playing in July of 2019. We wouldn't be here without you. And the greatest gift is time, because it's precious, it's limited, and it is such an honor and such a pleasure that you give us your time, and that we're able to hopefully make your life richer